Welcome back, everyone, with Greg Roth, the ambassador. This is yours truly, Eric Glazer, and this is your Sharp Squares podcast for week 8, 2025-26. Last week, our Sharps were good, 54.5%. Now it's 30 and 25 if you wanted to figure out the numbers. However, our medal games had an unusual slip against the Tide. They were 0-2. Pick 5, the rating system helped us in those bottom 3 games. We went 3-2, 3-2-1, not as fortunate going 1-2 and only earning 1 of 6 points, but we're still in the mix in that pool. For the season, our Sharps are still well below the Mason-Dixon line at 45.7%, and so are our medal games. But it's only the first half of the season, so we will see how things play out. We have a jam-packed episode with a lot of medal games, and to provide you all those important details is everyone's favorite fellow degenerate, the Greg Roth.
Eric, thank you so much, Ambassador. Great to see you again. Week 8, very exciting. Last week, we only had 2 medal games. They were both silver. The week before, we only had 2 medal games. I think they were both silver. Sorry, Eric.
They were.
So we haven't had a gold game or a bronze game in the last 2 weeks. We've only had 4 medal games in the last 2 weeks. Week 8, what's it bringing? 6 medal games, including a gold game and a silver game and 4 bronze games. The gold game. It's going to be exciting for some of you. The pick. It's the New York Jets. They're plus 6.5. They're in Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. Cleve TA, Stuckey, Fabian Summer, RJ Bell, and Whale Capper all picked New York. Nobody thought Cincinnati was a good selection. The silver game. The pick. It's the Carolina Panthers. They're plus 7.5 in Buffalo to take on the Bills. Fabian Summer, Rob Pizzola, Kelly Stewart, and the Whale Capper all picked Carolina. Marty Herney did pick Buffalo in descent. 4 bronze games. The top-rated bronze game. The pick's the Atlanta Falcons. They're minus 7.5, welcoming the woeful Miami Dolphins to Atlanta. Adam Chernoff, Marty Herney, Gil Alexander all picked Atlanta. Nobody had the courage to take Miami. The second rated bronze game of the 4, the pick, it's the Baltimore Ravens. They're minus 7.5. They're at home taking on the Chicago Bears. Stuckey, Fabian Summer, the Sharp or Square podcast all picked the Ravens. Nobody took Chicago, who I think we're going to find out a little bit about their hot streak and trends. The third rated bronze game. We're not going to find out about that. We deleted that. Well, they are on a hot streak. They've covered 4 games in a row. That's a bonus trend for you. The third rated bronze game, the pick, it's the Indianapolis Colts. They're minus 14.5. Taking on the Tennessee Titans. It's notable for us, I think, this game. Number 1, we're fading the Titans. That hasn't, I think, happened in, 4 years. And we're laying 14.5 points. I don't think we've laid that many points ever on this show on any game.
That may be true, but one thing I will tell you with certainty is we haven't laid 14.5 and taken the Colts in the same play. That's for sure.
It would be hard to believe if we said it, 8 weeks ago that would be the case. Adam Chernoff, Cleve TA, and Mike Renner all picked Indianapolis. Nobody took Tennessee, thankfully. The last game, bronze, the pick. It's the Dallas Cowboys. They looked good last week, plus 3.5. They're in Denver to take on the Broncos. Whale Capper, Ross Tucker, Chris Raymond picked Dallas. Marco D'Angelo, however, in dissent, picked the Broncos. So, yeah, the Jets.
Before you summarize, and I recognize my credibility about home and away teams took a hit last week, although after the segment I did correct myself after you came off. But I will tell you that the Panthers are not in Buffalo. They are actually a home dog at 7.5. So just so everyone knows that.
That makes sense.
All right, go ahead with your summary.
So the summary: the Jets at +6.5 are gold. The Panthers at +7.5 are silver. The Falcons at -7.5. The Ravens at -7.5. The Colts -14.5. And the Cowboys +3.5 are all bronze. So the picks this week are easy. We have all metal games to choose from. The Cowboys were the lowest rated game. They get eliminated from the pick five. So it's the Jets, Panthers, Falcons, Ravens, and Colts in pick five. 3, 2, 1. We're using those lines, so it's same down the board. Jets are 3, Panthers are 2, Falcons are 1.
Well done. And if that is all you're looking for and you want to skip our wonderful highlights, trends, and handicaps of the top two games, you're now all dismissed. We'll start as we always do with some trends, compliments of our producer, Greg Roth, but the guy that gets the credit will get the credit and be front of the mic on this one is, of course, our favorite ambassador.
Thank you very much, Eric. Our first trend has to do with early 1 p.m. Eastern Time chalk games. Closing favorites, that is, games that close as favorites in the Sunday 1 p.m. Eastern Time window, are 34 and 18 ATS. That's 65%. That's for the season. They've been 500 ATS or better in all 7 weeks. So, bet the favorites if you think that trend is going to continue. Next trend, NFC is dominating.
That is compliments of the Action Network and Evan.
Evan H. Abrams, to be exact. NFC versus AFC domination is the next trend. NFC teams are 26 and 12 ATS, 25 and 13 straight up versus the AFC through 7 weeks. That's the best conference start. ATS through 7 weeks in the wild card era. That is also courtesy of Action Network. Third trend, bad record favorite angle, more than 3 points. The trend since 2003, teams winning less than or equal to 20% of their games that are favorites of more than 3 points are 30, 14, and 2 ATS. ATS, that's 68%. That will apply to Baltimore this week. Baltimore is 1 and 5, and they are a 7.5 point favorite over the Bears this week. That trend also courtesy of Action Network. And finally, Mike Tomlin as a home underdog. Mike Tomlin's Steelers are 21, 7, and 3 ATS, 68%, as home underdogs. Obviously, their game is actionable this week. They are hosting the Green Bay Packers, where the Pack is a 2.5 point favorite. That trend courtesy of ESPN.com.
I really like those last two trends. All right, we got some deep handicapping highlights for the gold and silver games. So we're going to split them up amongst our team here. I'm going to get us started with the JETS Jets +6.5. First handicapping highlights grouping. It's all about market overreaction, folks, and an inflated spread. Stuckey from the Action Network, he thinks 6.5 is a market mistake. The look-ahead line on this was just 2.5. RJ Bell, he agrees it's the craziest spread of the season, and that's a quote. Drew and Andy from the Deep Dive has this priced at Cincinnati -4.5 to 5. They think there's 2 to 3 points of value here. Gianni from Bet On It noted that the Jets' one-score losses, 5 of 7, by the way, of one-score losses, show an undervalued record. And Chad and Simon from Sharper Square, they highlight the historical profitability of ugly dogs. It also noted that most sharps they've spoken to have this spread 2 to 3 points too high due to the public optimism around Cincinnati. Second grouping is that the Jets' defense is better than the Bengals' offense. All right. I know. I'm skeptical too. Here we go. RJ Bell says the Jets' defense graded higher in every per play metric. Fabian Summer jumped on top of this as well. The Jets' top 5 in defensive success rate, turnover, luck is masking that strength Austin Mock says that the Cincinnati offense lacks creativity and consistency, and Gianni from Banana cited a similar point differential showing comparable teams and their quality. The Jets defense gives them a floor advantage, and the Bengals EPA doesn't justify this spread.
Third grouping on this game, it's about motivational and situational edges. RJ Bell says the Jets have a bye next week. Added urgency. Cincinnati's off a mini bye. I guess that means they played on Thursday the week before. That equals a flat spot. Stuckey, buy low off the embarrassment. Cincinnati inflated by turnover luck. Johnny the Greek, backdoor will be open all game against the non-killer Bengals. Spot favored motivational dog are the Jets versus flat favorite Bengals. That's according to Gianni the Greek. Fourth grouping here on these handicapping highlights, quarterback and injury adjustments. Fabian Summer notes Sauce Gardner questionable, impacts coverage, but run D intact. Stuckey mentions a Tyrod Taylor upgrade over Justin Fields. Taylor, 34, 21, and 4 against the spread, career as a dog. RJ Bell notes Joe Flacco. He sees regression risk. Jets still graded higher. Gianni the Greek, unlucky one-score team are the Jets. Talent gap between these teams overstated. QB delta overpriced. Jets offense competent enough to stay inside one score. Timestamps, deep dive 16 minutes, 13 seconds. Stream preview 47 minutes, 30 seconds. Bet on it. 13 minutes, 5 seconds. Sharp or square, 23 minutes, 5 seconds. And the Action Network covered this game at 12 minutes and 7 seconds.
Taking a look now at the Bills at Panthers handicapping highlights. This is our silver game, or one of our silver games. The Panthers are the pick at plus 7.5. The first theme, Buffalo's overvalued after the bye. And market inflation. Austin Mock from Forward Progress says the market has not adjusted for Buffalo's defensive attrition, pointing specifically to Milano, Bernard, and Jones. Stuckey from the Action Network says the Bills' offense is inconsistent. They should not be laying more than 4.5 points on the road versus a top-tier team. Drew and Andy from Deep Dive, they said this line should be closer to Buffalo -4. CBS pushing the pile said Buffalo has tackling issues with 4.5 yards after contact allowed and a thin front seven, which probably has something to do with that yak stat. Every modeler found 2 to 3 points of market inflation on Buffalo post-bye. The second theme is the Panthers' matchup edge, run game versus soft Buffalo front. Rob Pizzola said Carolina's schedule-adjusted run game and defense are the best combo in this matchup. Fabian Summer thinks the Buffalo edge defenders are weak without Milano and Rapp. Makes sense. Panthers can sustain drives because of that. Finally, CBS pushing the pile. They say Carolina's heavy 12 personnel concepts directly exploit the Bills' small front.
Next grouping, Sharps do not believe there's a downgrade from Bryce Young to Andy Dalton. Let me explain. Fabian Summer and Austin Mock, they think Dalton's timing actually stabilizes the Panthers' offense. Rob Pizzola jumps in. He thinks Dalton may be an upgrade due to the efficiency and turnover control. And CBS pushing the pile. They think that Dalton could match or exceed Bryce Young's poor EPA metrics. They project Dalton's going to improve pass success by 6%, and net makes the QB switch a neutral for the spread, making Carolina a live play with some value. Fourth grouping, and this is a little bit redundant with EB's market inflation. This is defensive attrition and an injury mismatch. The Forward Progress notes all the folks out from Buffalo, Milano, Bernard, Rapp, Jones, causing a major run fit gap for the Bills, and CBS pushing the file, double downs on it, saying that Carolina can attack that light, slow front seven. Timestamps for this, pushing the pile, 45 minutes, 33 seconds. Forward Progress, I don't have a timestamp for you, but thanks to those guys. Same with Action Network. Deep Dive, 48 minutes, 46 seconds. The GM Shuffle, 46 minutes, 5 seconds, if you want to hear the argument to go the other way. Great job, everyone. To Sharp, shout out to Scott Vick, playing injured. Got a lot of this stuff done for us. I want to remind everyone that none of us are truly sharp. But this is your Sharp Squares podcast.
Good luck out there.